I've always been a sleepwalker. But it wasn't until I set up a camera to record myself at night that I discovered the truth. What I found was something that would change my life forever. Something that would make me question my own sanity. I've always been a sleepwalker. Or at least that's what my parents told me when I was a kid. They would find me standing in the kitchen. Or walking down the hallway. With no memory of how I got there. As I got older, the sleepwalking continued. But I learned to live with it. I would just wake up in the morning, feeling a little groggy, and go about my day. But as the years went by, I started to notice that things were getting worse. I would wake up with bruises, or scratches, and have no idea how I got them. That's when I decided to set up a camera to record myself at night. I wanted to see what I was doing while I was sleepwalking, and maybe get some answers. I set up the camera in my bedroom, and went to bed, feeling a little nervous about what I might find. The next morning, I woke up, and stumbled over to the camera to review the footage. At first, everything seemed normal. I was sleeping, tossing and turning, but nothing out of the ordinary. But then, something changed. I got out of bed and started walking around the room. I was sleepwalking, and the camera was capturing every step. I watched in amazement as I walked over to the closet and started rummaging through my clothes. I was looking for something, but I had no idea what. As I continued to watch, I started to feel a sense of unease. I was doing things that I had no memory of, and it was starting to freak me out. I watched as I took out a pair of scissors and started cutting up a piece of fabric. I had no idea what I was making, but it looked like some kind of twisted craft project. I felt a chill run down my spine as I realized that I was creating something in my sleep, something that I had no control over. As the night wore on, things only got stranger. I started to hear whispers, faint whispers that seemed to be coming from outside my room. I couldn't make out what they were saying, but they sent shivers down my spine. I was starting to feel like I was losing my mind, like I was trapped in some kind of never-ending nightmare. And then, I saw it, a figure, standing in the corner of my room. It was tall and imposing, and it seemed to be watching me. I froze, my heart pounding in my chest, as I realized that I wasn't alone. The figure didn't move. It just stood there, watching me with an unblinking gaze. I was paralyzed with fear, unable to move or speak. And then, everything went black. I woke up the next morning, feeling shaken and confused. I had no memory of what had happened, but the camera had captured everything. I watched the footage, my heart racing, as I saw the figure standing in my room. I realized that I had been sleepwalking, and that I had been doing things that I had no control over. But it was what happened next that changed everything. As I continued to watch the footage, I saw myself walk over to the figure and start talking to it. I was having a conversation with something that I couldn't see, something that I had no memory of. And then, it hit me. The figure wasn't just a figure. It was me. Or at least, it was a part of me. I was talking to myself. Or rather, a part of myself that I had no control over. I realized that I had been sleepwalking. Not just physically, but mentally as well. I had been creating a separate personality, one that was twisted and dark. And it was this personality that was responsible for the strange occurrences, the whispers, and the figure in my room. I was shocked and terrified as I realized that I was living with a monster that was a part of me, a part that I had no control over. I didn't know what to do, or how to stop it. All I knew was that I had to try, before it was too late. I started to research. to try and understand what was happening to me. I read about dissociative identity disorder and how it could cause people to create separate personalities. I realized that I had been living with this condition without even knowing it, and it was the sleepwalking that had brought it to the surface. I was determined to take control, to stop the sleepwalking, and to integrate my personalities. It wouldn't be easy, but I knew it was the only way to save myself. I started therapy and began to work on my condition. It was a long and difficult process, but slowly, I started to make progress. I learned to recognize the signs of sleepwalking and to take steps to prevent it. I started to integrate my personalities, to bring them together, and to take control. It wasn't easy, but it was worth it. I was finally able to live with myself, to live with the knowledge of what I was capable of, and I was determined to never let the monster take over again.